I went to the store to pick up several things I needed and returned. Later that day, I opened the door to get some silverware, and my utensils were stacked neatly, as if someone took the time to sort them. Everyone loves a ghost story, including me. Ghost stories are my way of sharing your stories of signs and synchronicities from loved ones who have crossed over to help us all see and have hope for what's possible after the people we love die. So if you have a ghost story to share, go to my website, Dr. Amy Robbins, and tell your ghost story. We love to hear it. I love to share them. And you all love to listen. So with that, here is today's ghost story about a connection between a grandmother and granddaughter that spans death. I always had a very strong connection with my Grammy. I would call her multiple times a day, never ceasing to have the subjects to discuss. Many times I would think of her and she would call, or I would be choosing a song to perform for a performance, and that song would be stuck in her head earlier in the day. There were too many coincidences to even call them that. When she passed away, it was both relief and sadness. She was suffering from cancer and just wanted to be with my grandfather in the afterlife. All of us knew she would leave a large hole in our hearts when she passed, but we had enough sense to know she was no longer in pain. Several times she visited me in unusual ways. She tends to catch me off guard, but it always leaves me with a sense of peace each time, and some laughs here and there. My first encounter took place in a dream. We were drinking coffee in her kitchen, just the two of us. She stood before me, and I asked seriously, "Will I ever hear from you again?" She was a proper woman, always mild-mannered and classy, but she had a way of pretending to be irritated in a playful way that was so endearing. She playfully slammed her coffee cup down on the table and said, "I talk to you all the time. You just don't listen." In the dream, I laughed, but I vowed to pay more attention in my waking hours to her voice and her presence. 3 years after her death, I moved to a new house after leaving a bad relationship. I was filled with a sense of relief and accomplishment. As I washed the silverware, I had unpacked from a box, silverware that came from my Grammy's house after she passed. I thought, I wonder if she sees me now and knows I'm okay. Following this thought, I threw the silverware in the drawer with no order, as I didn't have a silverware sorter. I went to the store to pick up several things I needed and returned. Later that day, I opened the door to get some silverware, and my utensils were stacked neatly, as if someone took the time to sort them. My Grammy was always a neat and orderly person. I knew in my heart this was an answer that she does see me and is very much present. Since I have received several signs that she is around and checks on me, I have made sure to listen more for her voice and the signs that she gives me. Thank you so much for that beautiful ghost story. I always love your ghost stories. Everybody loves ghost stories. If you have a story to share, make sure to do so on my website, dramyrobbins.com.
Like what you heard today and want to hear more? Wondering what comes next and what it all means? Head over to Apple Podcast, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, or anywhere you get your podcasts and hit subscribe. Also, if you could take a minute to rate and review my podcast, I would really appreciate it. Stay tuned as we continue to explore life, death, and the space between.